Hey, it's your old pal Slim, and this is 70 Millimeter, a podcast for film lovers, just like you. Every Monday, I chat about recently watched movies with my close friend and artist, Danny Haas.
I mean, you talk about becoming a man. Brad Pitt in this movie, Lord have mercy. What a specimen.
And our movie insider, Alexis.
How about Danny Trejo looking like Meatloaf dying on the floor?
Our featured discussion later in this episode is Michael Mann's epic from 1995, Heat. Feel free to use the chapters in your podcast app to skip right to that discussion. Is this Al Pacino's greatest performance? Is this Robert De Niro's greatest performance? Or are you wrong? Let's find out now. August, the animated summer.
Gotta stop saying that.
The animated summer, the entire month of August, we will finally be covering animated movies. We've been getting DMs, we've been getting comments on IG. After I delete the spam comments on IG, we get real comments about animated movies. When? How? Why? It's happening in August. And we put a vote up for our supporters to pick, like, which of these movies should we do to kick off the month? And, you know, we don't talk politics on this show. It's not what the show's about.
It's not worth it.
Except when it comes to Harry Potter, we talk about the disgusting writer of Harry Potter. But we dug into the data. We checked out the poll. It ended last night as we recorded, and there might be, I hesitate to even bring this up, slight voter manipulation. So we had to dispatch the movie insider to take a peek at things. Thorough investigation. What'd you find out, Pardo?
I wasn't prepared for something like this. I didn't know that this could happen with a simple poll. You know, I mean, we're just trying to have a fun time here, and the things that I uncovered within our Discord. I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but it's deep. I mean, if you thought hanging Chads was bad, if you thought an insurrection on the steps of Congress was bad, I got some. Did you know that you can change your vote? Did anyone know that you could buy votes?
I'll tell you one thing right now. I said in Discord, I'm going to be making an announcement about the future of 70 millimeter. We will be banning all polls that allow you to change your vote moving forward. That's gone.
Gone.
It's gone, Proto.
I don't even want to know what kind of favors, quote unquote, favors were given out for votes. I don't want to know. But yes, so the poll was strong, and for those who don't know, the movies that were up for it was Akira, Tintin, The Lion King, Prince of Egypt, Princess Mononoke, and WALL-E. And Akira was winning easily.
Yeah, it ran away with it.
For pretty much 99.9% of the time that the poll was open. And then in the final moment, somehow we're not really even sure, Tintin suddenly was ahead.
Yeah.
The voting closed, and that was it. You know, we'd like to think that it was a fair process, but I'm afraid even our systems might be flawed in some way. But Tintin is the winner, which is exciting. I'm excited. I haven't seen Tintin in a long time. A lot of love for this great That's the winner, Tintin. The Adventures of Tintin, directed by some guy.
Spielberg.
Yeah, Steven Spielberg. So it should be a great movie to watch. Watch it with your kids and listen to us talk about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to do Tintin. There's a lot of internet buzz behind this film. You know, Peter Jackson and Spielberg were allegedly going to do like a trilogy about Tintin. didn't quite work out. So that'll be our episode next week.
I mean, I'm not excited to do 1010.
No.
There's 5 better movies out of the 6 to do besides 1010.
Wow.
But whatever. We let them vote.
The vote happened. It's in the past.
Yeah.
The insurrectionist spoke. And also, one quick note, Ian is now banned from voting in future Patreon polls because he voted twice and he was the deciding vote. So Ian, you're banned from voting. We're putting the foot down. We passed that amendment. On to other news. I'm not sure if anyone follows Danny on Instagram. They should. Uh-oh. But can we talk about this mini helmet Rocketeer replica that you did with Octo? My God.
Goodness.
Please.
They approached me to, this is the year, the 40th anniversary of the comic book of Rocketeer. So there's a lot of celebrating going on from the fans of Rocketeer. So they wanted help designing a helmet based off of the first appearance of the Rocketeer. So just some sketches, did some color work, some art. They did the molding of it. It's cast in, it's metal. It's gorgeous. Yeah. There's gold. It's a beautiful thing. So it's coming in a great box, limited edition. Comes with a little card of my art as well. Releasing this week. Well, last week, and now that you're hearing this. So, yeah, it was a great time working on that.
Was that your hand in those shots? Were you modeling the helmet yourself in those photos?
I can't divulge that. That's NDAs.
His hand modeling career cannot be divulged.
He's trying to keep that under wraps for some reason. The Rocketeer comic book, that original mainstream trade paperback, it was like magazine format. I remember my dad used to keep magazines out on the porch. We had this like porch. It was always like freezing in the winter and too hot in the summer, but like all the comic books were kept out there. I remember going out in there and reading that Dave Stevens magazine trade. You want to talk about when a boy becomes a man.
Yeah, he didn't.
Some of those pinup shots in that comic book,
his
man
bennies.
alive.
Yeah. Man alive.
Part of your thoughts on becoming a man?
I can't wait. Can't wait for the day. Just got to get myself some Rocketeer comics.
Just leave those sitting around for the family to find. So we'll have a link in the episode notes if there's any available. I'm not sure, but everyone check that out. A lot of teases happening on Danny's Instagram. As of recording, it's pre-San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe all this stuff will be out by then, so keep your eyes peeled. Pardo, did you watch any movies this week?
I did. I watched a movie that's been on my watch list for a long time. Went back to the 70s and watched Deliverance.
Oh,
Deliverance.
Mamma mia.
Have you guys seen this?
No.
Oh my God. This is like an X-rated film when I was a kid, I feel like.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the cover that I remember seeing in Blockbuster, but I was always fascinated by the idea of this movie. And I just knew it was like some guys on a canoe trip down a river and something goes wrong. But between the cover, and I think at one point I confused this with Deer Hunter, or like they became melded together for whatever reason. And those two movies just were like movies that like were held this high place in my mind of like, oh, I can't wait to see this. So I finally got to sit down and watch Deliverance. And I think the driving factor was that we watched Heat, which we'll be talking about later, but it has Jon Voight, who looks incredible in Heat with this amazing mullet.
Gotta be the shower.
Something.
So Jon Voight, he stars in Deliverance, but it's 1972. So I guess he's like 20s or in his 30s, pretty young. And it also has Burt Reynolds is in this as well. And Burt Reynolds, I knew he was in the movie and I still didn't recognize him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have his trademark mustache. He just looks so different. And he's very peculiar in this movie. But it also has Ned Beatty and Ronnie Cox, a young Ronnie Cox. So it's a pretty cool foursome. And it's a fun movie. I thought it was well, not maybe fun isn't the right word. But it was an entertaining movie for the most part. Like I thought the first half was like gorgeously shot. It was interesting. There's also that the dueling banjos. I guess that's from this movie because it was like, or I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay. So like that's in this, and that scene is amazing. Ronnie Cox plays the guitar, and then he meets this mountain kid who has like he doesn't speak at all, but he has a banjo, and they have a duel, and it's really incredible.
They when that music, like you'll see that in movies or TV shows where you just like show like, local Southern folk, who perceived lack of education. They live by themselves in the sticks, and that you hear that like music. So I saw this, I think when I was in community college or right before, and this was one of those quote films, like those upper echelon films. And I mean, the sexual assault scene in the movie disturbed me for a very long time.
Yeah, it's very disturbing. Yeah, it's very disturbing. And unfortunately, I thought like the first, like I thought, I was like, this movie is great the first half, but then the second half, I thought it kind of lost its way and didn't really have anything really to say much. And I thought like that whole angle, and of course this is based on a book, and the author was actually, he wrote the screenplay, and I thought like the subtext of this was pretty shallow or like non-existent, and he didn't really have anything to say about like these outsiders coming to ride down this river and encountering these mountain folk, hillbillies who live here.
Yeah.
It just didn't, I don't know, there just wasn't much there. And that was kind of disappointing because it was such a great setup. So I gave it 3 stars.
Poster is insane. I don't think maybe I haven't looked at the poster in a long time, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just posted it in chat.
They also had a great, I didn't really like how it ended. There's a, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a shot like 2 minutes before the end of the movie that is like perfect. And I wish they ended on that rather than like the final 2 minutes they had. But it's definitely interesting, and I'm glad I watched it. I love watching movies from the 70s. It's the best.
There's a couple. I just posted the TMDB link. There's a couple really cool posters. So, did you watch anything else you want to bring up?
The only other thing I watched was we rewatched Wolfwalkers, me and the kids. And man, what
Adam August.
Well, yeah, I had to get ready,
Perfect movie.
It really is. It is so perfect. It is to me, it is like, it's one of like the most spiritual movies I feel like watching it. The message that it has about like spirituality and nature and connecting to the natural world is just so beautiful. It's on I think it's on Apple TV Plus or whatever that service is. So it's really worth checking out. It's a great movie to watch with your kids.
From Proto.
Easy 5 stars.
I just want to repeat myself. This animated movie got 5 stars from Proto.
Yeah.
Fire up your free Apple TV Plus for 30 days subscription. However that needs to happen. Who knows how that stuff works? I don't know.
Incredible animation too. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
We should say hello. Now we're recording early, so we do want to say hello to Douglas, new patron who joined us this week. Gets access to uncut episodes, special top secret RSS feed, discount on Danny's beautiful prints and merch designs, and our episodes in the 70mm vault. We are tentatively, breaking news, we're tentatively set to record our next supporter-only episode next week. We haven't announced what it is yet. Next week, but it's coming hot and heavy. Horde. Also, we announced our first ever meetup. It's happening in the greater Philadelphia area at the end of August, and that's also just for supporters of our Patreon. So if you want to get details, use the link in the episode notes. Danny, what about you? Did you watch anything this week before San Diego Comic-Con?
Yeah, I watched the first time A River Runs Through It, directed by Robert Redford, starring Tom Skerritt, Craig Sheffer, and a young Brad Pitt. And I mean, you talk about becoming a man. Brad Pitt in this movie, Lord have mercy. What a specimen. I do think it's a little bit boring of a film. There's something about the story that just kind of meandered along kind of slowly. But it is gorgeous. It is a gorgeous film. I mean, I instantly wanted to learn how to fly fish. Like watching Scarrett do it, watching Brad do it. I was instantly going to be a fly fisher when I grow up. But it's a good movie. 3.5 stars from me. It was great to watch for the first time. I'd seen the VHS lying around in every thrift store I ever go to. So it was great to finally watch it. And Brad's great, and he's young. Tom's great. Tom Skerritt plays his father. He's a minister in Montana, and it's pretty good. I mean, it's good. It's a good movie.
I've seen this cover everywhere for decades.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized it was a Redford directed movie. I mean, Redford's got an amazing mustache in this letterbox photo. My God. Cripes alive.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Both just frozen with the mustache. He also directed Quiz Show. Remember Quiz Show? There's a lot of like Oscar buzz around that
Never
movie.
seen that.
The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Oh, God.
Will Smith retire.
I remember loving that movie.
What movie do I want to talk about before we...
What about this movie Seconds that you just logged?
Oh, John Frankenheimer. This one has been on my watch list for a bit. It was in this came out, I think, 1966. And let me pull up the description. A secret organization offers wealthy people a second chance at life. The customer picks out someone they want to be, and the organization surgically alters the customer to look like that person, stages their death, and gets rid of the person, and the customer takes on a new life. So this one had Saul Bass design titles, and it starts out with this actor who gets an address. He's like on the train. He gets an address. He goes there, calls the number, and it's like his old friend that allegedly died, years previous. And he tells him like stuff that only that friend would know. And he's like, I took this procedure. I wanted a new life, and you can do that too. So he like sets him up with a meeting with this company. So he lives kind of like an unfulfilled life, and he gets the elevator pitch from this corporation that like, we'll set you up. You have a new life. What were some of your dreams? He's like, I wanted to be a painter. We'll set you up to be a painter. You'll become a rich painter, and over time you can learn how to become a great painter. So Rock Hudson is in it, John Randolph, and it felt like a long Twilight Zone episode, which I mean as a positive. I gave it 4 stars. It's just filmed I don't know if I've seen any other Frankenheimer movies, but there's a lot of like long shots with ADR. Like there's one scene where he goes on a date with this woman, and they go to like a wine festival, and people are in like this giant thing stomping on grapes, and they're all nude, and they're just kind of like drunk and having like an almost like 60s weird hippie hangout in this like giant vat of grapes. And the scene goes on for like what felt like 20 minutes. And I was like, what is going on in this movie? So I'm added it to my man-ass list. But it just felt like if you were into Twilight Zone episodes, like then this is your vibe, I feel like. And with like weird cinematography, dealing with like you being not happy with where your life is, and like how far would you go to change who you are and then maybe not be happy with the end result. So 4 stars. Goodness. It's on Canopy library service.
Frankenheimer's director credits are pretty wild. Like his movies are all over the place.
Corner mentions Ronin. I have seen Ronin. I think I remember liking Ronin.
Yeah, I have that. I actually bought that. I got that at the library. It was 50 cents. Had to pick it up.
That's not how
French Connection 2.
Yeah.
I just added that to my watch list.
How was that? How's that a movie? French Connection.
I don't know. I don't even know if I knew that existed.
I mean, Gene Hackman's in it too.
Look at that backdrop of him running through the streets.
Yeah, I'm like very curious.
Oh my God.
Have you guys seen Grand Prix?
No, but I remember when you saw that.
Oh, that's right. I remember you logging
What
that.
an experience.
He's got a ton of
That's
movies.
a movie right there.
We need to get into Heat.
Please.
We're running late. We have a lot to get to with this movie.
Oh, speaking of man-ass, sorry. You can add
no, go ahead.
River Runs Through It.
Is it Brad's ass?
It's not, unfortunately, but it's a very full screen ass.
Remember when I posted that photo of the 4K of Top Gun and I could see the nose hair in Tom Skerritt's nose?
That was mean.
Disgusting.
Leave the man alone.
I mean, start trimming the hairs, please. All right, Michael Mann's Heat. This was Danny's pick for 90s Action Month. This is our last episode for that theme. 90s Action Month. What a month. Holy smokes.
We did
and
it.
You shocked the world last week picking this movie. Shocked the world.
Shock drop.
Our dear friends at Dune Pod had also done a Heat episode. And now it's our turn. Tables have turned, my friend. Pardo, what is Heat?
Neil, played by De Niro, leads an elite team of professional criminals. They consider all aspects of a heist and leave nothing to chance. Unfortunately for them, they draw the ire of Detective Hannah, played by Pacino, who is relentless in his pursuit and quickly zeroes in on the crew. Undaunted, Neil continues with his plans, seeking to outwit and outplay Hannah and the entire LAPD. But when a heist goes bad and the floor falls, Neil and his crew must face the question they always knew would come. When the heat is around the corner, are you prepared to drop everything, walk out on everyone, and let it all go? Heat.
This score is incredible to this movie. I mean, I'll link to the YouTube 49-minute whatever in here. Please, people. Danny, you set a goal for yourself to start this year that you would not pick any movies that we had seen before. Last week, you said F it.
F it.
You tore up the rules.
I tore them up.
Why?
When I was looking through 90s action, we had seen so much. Like this is where we grew up through it. So we've seen the big ones. And I didn't want to dig through the muck to pick a dud for us to finish off 90s Action Month with some rando. Okay?
Right.
So I had to do Heat. I had only seen Heat once before, maybe a year ago. I don't remember. And I just knew we had to cover it. And this was the perfect month to do it.
I almost fell out of my chair when you picked Heat last week. Check the audio. You could hear it. Almost plots.
Yeah. Being held up by 5 flies.
There are so many flies in this basement right now. I can't even. So I was in a meeting earlier for work, and I took a swig out of my water bottle.
No.
And I was like, what just went in my mouth? It was a fly. Spit
Slim.
that water right out in the middle of a meeting.
God.
I don't know if anyone saw it. I mean, if they listen to this podcast, they'll learn why I looked weird at the hour mark. Pardo, what is your history with Michael Mann's Heat? Is there any?
No, I'd not seen this movie before. It was, I mean, again, this is another movie I've seen, familiar with it, of course. Saw the cover many times, like, what's this about? But anytime I have gone to, thought about watching it, I got scared away by the runtime. It's a lift, those 3 hours. It's hard to find the time.
I'm trying to think of the first time I saw Heat. It was probably when I was working at the video store. I'm not sure if when I bring up the video store, it's a drinking game. Or
no, it's not. We like
70mm bingo, but it's been a while. But I think it was around that time. The poster is like etched into my brain, the Heat poster. Usually in this segment, each host jots down 3 things while we watch it. We'll bring it up for this discussion. We'll talk about it roundtable style, and we'll give our letterbox rating to end the episode. So Danny's pick. Let's start with Danny. What's your first one?
Let's start. I'm going to start with my favorite part of this movie. It's in my letterbox review. The coffee scene. The legendary coffee scene between De Niro, Pacino, McNally, Vincent. There's something about the two of them in that scene that is just, it just feels legendary. It's the first time the two of them have been on screen in a movie together. This was their first like movie moment.
Oh.
And a couple facts about it. They never rehearsed it. They only read the lines together with Michael Mann. And so the first takes were what they did on camera. They took multiple times, but one of Michael Mann's philosophies was, if we hit it perfect, we're only getting it perfect once, so it might as well be on camera. Mm-hmm. And so they talked through the scene, and this scene, because there's so much about leading up to this moment, well, especially with Pacino's character, he's like lightning in a bottle, and he's like, like grabbing a tiger by the tail. He's insane in some moments, but then he's like real poised, like real chill, but he's all over the place. But when we get to this moment, the two of them together, they realize they're pretty much the same person with different goals. And neither one of them willing to back down. And at any moment, they'll take each other out.
We're sitting here, you and I, like a couple of regular fellas. You do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
There's a flip side to that coin. What if you do got me boxed in, and I gotta put you down? Because no matter what, you will not get my way. We've been face to face, yeah. But I will not hesitate. Not for a second.
Maybe that's the way it'll be. Or, who knows?
Well, maybe we'll never see each other again.
And it's weird. It's such a, not like a bad weird, but just such a great moment where you have empathy for both characters. And I always love a good, feeling good for the bad guys. Like I start pulling for De Niro, and then I start pulling for Pacino, and like it goes back and forth in this. And this coffee scene is just it's epic.
Yeah, I love that aspect of how it does feel like if things went differently, Pacino could be a criminal in the same way. As if, like they kind of have the same drive and desires, but they are expressed in their lives in different ways. And they don't say that outright, but it's crazy just the looks that they give each other and like the little bit of smile that Pacino gives him.
Yeah.
That there's just such a sense of understanding. Like I was all like getting chilled up. Like this, it felt so authentic in that moment. It was really an incredible scene.
I mean, this is like top 5 movie scenes.
Yeah.
Ever, in my opinion. I mean, it's like so electrifying. This first time I watched it, maybe since a few years ago, but Pacino like pulls him up. He gets pissed. I mean, it's like you can't even gloss over the stuff leading up to it. Like Pacino's home life is like in shambles. Mm-hmm. So he like leaves the house at one point and then like yells at his team, like, where is he? Where's the tail at? And he's like, all right, give me your car. I'm going to drive after him. And then they just ask him to go get a cup of coffee together. The guy that he is waiting to get evidence on to put him in prison. And I mean, they're at the top of their game in this movie. It's not even funny.
It's not even funny.
Like, it's not even funny, but I'm going to laugh anyway. But like De Niro's reaction to him being asked to get coffee, the way he says, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. And then they go. That scene is insane. Al Pacino's hair in this scene I have never been more sexually attracted to Al Pacino than in the coffee shop scene in Heat. He looks incredible in that scene. I don't know what it was going on with his hair because it almost like doesn't match the rest of the movie. The way his hair was like hanging down. Maybe this is just the most stressed out Al or whatever, but my God, look at that photo in chat.
Look at him.
Yeah,
Man alive.
I was thinking the same about De Niro. De Niro looks incredible in this too. Like both
I think
of
it's
them.
his best. Yeah, they're both like peak. Like this is their peak acting and just physical appearance. My God. How about Tom in Collateral wearing the same suit?
100% wearing the same suit in that scene.
Oh yeah.
Like you can't say it's not.
Yeah, and there might as well be the
Same hair,
character
too.
in in a different universe. Yeah, you're right.
Incredible stuff.
I'll save my Al Pacino thoughts for later. We'll come around to Al. I made a gag about how in my review that how much this stole from The Dark Knight.
Retire, Nolan.
I mean, when you watch The Dark Knight in the same year and then you go to watch Heat,
right?
It's like I'm adjusting my glasses. Like, look at the TV. Like the heist scene, the music. There's so much in The Dark Knight that is from Heat that it's almost like it's insane if you watch them anywhere near each other. The audio in this movie is the main thing I want to come back to. Like the audio, the music. TCL, Roku, if you're listening, we're open to sponsorship collaborations, but I used my Roku Pro remote and I had my headphones in for this viewing. Amanda came in at the halfway point. I just kept them on. And the TV just played in silence while she was in the room. I was like, I can't right now. Sorry. It sounds awesome. I mean, the coffee house scene with headphones on. But yeah, the overall Nolan vibes that I was like seeing in this, it's just really evident. So I'm curious what Proto thinks of that.
Oh yeah, I mean the audio at the big heist in the city, the gunfight. Like that just sounds I would love to see this in
Can I tell you why?
A Dolby theater. Go ahead.
It's because he mic'd up actual gun, like they're using live fire, not like bullets, but he recorded the audio live instead of dubbing the gunshots in post. So meticulously throughout that like leapfrog type scene where they're going down, firing the guns through the road. There's mics all throughout there picking up all their gunfire. So they had to hit their spots, take their shots in front of the mics, and no other movie sounds like this. Like those gunfire sound, they sound so good.
Yeah, because you hear the city in the shots. Like that's the way a gunshot would sound.
Right,
in the city.
echoing through the through the buildings and the alleyways. Insane stuff.
So did you get any Dark Knight vibes, Proto, in your first viewing?
That scene. I mean, the whole them in the bank. I mean, also just like how about of course, having never seen this, the whole Van Sant character,
right?
Yes,
the actor is in the Dark Knight,
right?
Which is
exactly
a beautiful homage. But then also the shots I love that also gave me the Dark Knight vibes. Was the cityscape shots at night with like the blurred lights. Man, those were so gorgeous.
Golly,
I love those shots.
Golly gee.
All the entire movie was shot on location too. No sound stages. 65 different locations across LA.
Was Pacino's apartment everything legit in those scenes? Like, because I couldn't tell because some of the shots were so gorgeous. I was like, is this green screen?
De Niro's apartment was in Malibu, apparently. That like look out over the ocean. I haven't looked into like the location of their houses, but nothing was a soundstage for this movie.
How about when he dates, was it Edie? And she talks about how she loves her place. She's got a great view. I was like, honey, wait until you see the view he has. There's several photos in chat, like the one with the water in plain view.
Insane.
There was the fog shot remember that it was like the background was just all white, and I was like, "What is that?" And there was just like the fog rolling in behind his place. Holy
Even
cow.
Danny Trejo's house was incredible on the stilts on the side of the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Goodness.
Pardo, what's your number one?
My number one really is the pacing of this and the way the story unfolds. I was actually surprised. I saw a few reviews come in that said that this movie was too long, that there was maybe like too many characters, there's too much going on. I felt completely opposite. I felt like there's a lot of characters in this movie and that each of them gets a good amount of screen time. Like if you think about it, it's like Pacino and his wife and his stepdaughter, De Niro and his girlfriend, then even Val Kilmer and his wife Ashley Judd. And then there's a few other minor characters that get a good amount of screen time. Trejo and Sizemore as well. Like there's a lot of characters in this, and it follows all of them, and you kind of get a piece of all of their story. But through all of that, I never really felt like I was lost. And I think that's also another interesting comparison to The Dark Knight, because the Dark Knight story is like complex, but I mean, we joke about how every time you watch that, you like realize something that you didn't before. Like you can watch it 10 times and not in a good way. But this, it just felt so like well written and thought out and having a huge scope, but also every scene felt like very focused, and I never felt lost as to what was going on. I was really impressed with just the way the movie unfolded in that way.
Some of my favorite moments are just like those little things where you kind of allow the thing to unfold and breathe, like when they're tailing them when they're all at that dinner and they're like seeing all the members of the team and they're like naming them like, oh yeah, they're so and so. I loved when De Niro appears and they have nothing on De Niro. Like, who is this guy? We don't have anything on him. He was like a ghost, and they had to like dig to see what they could find out. Danny, number two.
Number two, a second scene that I love. It feels like my favorite top two scenes are like these quiet scenes. The scene where they have them and they're breaking into the I forget what it was, but they have the stakeout across the street.
Yeah, like that metals plant or whatever.
Yeah. And they're in like the cargo holds, and the guy leans back and hits his gun against the metal container. The tension in that scene is palpable. The way De Niro and the way Pacino, their facial reactions and just the quietness, I was so stressed out. Every time I see that scene, it's like, it just sends me like into like a ball of stress. It's incredible. And I absolutely love that scene so much.
That scene is great. And just also how it's like a chess match between these two. And I guess you could say like De Niro's character doesn't actually know if anyone was there, but he's like not willing to take the chance. And he knows that like it could be a scenario where they're just staking him out, waiting for him to walk out with something. And he's like, my best chance is just to leave. And if that guy's smart, he won't pick me up. And Pacino's character is very smart and doesn't pick him up. But the other thing about like Pacino is such like a live wire in this that I wasn't sure if he was going to like chew that guy out. I thought he might. And the fact that he doesn't is almost like more unhinged, that he like doesn't even confront the guy.
Right, he like ends that scene. He's like, back to work.
Yeah.
Like any other scene, any other Pacino performance, that guy would get like yelled at with some kind of zany line, and then it would turn into a meme.
Because we have both of his scene where he's with the informants at the chop shops, and he's just another person, another character.
Yeah.
And I just expected them to just kick the door open and charge. Like that's what I'm like feeling is about to happen every time I watch that scene, and him to just kind of be like, no. We're not doing it. And then to not rage on that guy. Like he just gives him a look too. And he kind of like sulks back into the cargo.
I mean, the heat, like what was that? The thermal camera on De Niro when the noise hits. And I mean, if you're De Niro, you're in the industrial district or whatever the hell that area is. There's nobody moving. And all you do is hear one noise. And he goes in and tells Val, like, we walk. It's over.
And that shot is
and he's
so good.
Close to like finishing the job. They all leave. Oh my God. And then the next scene after that where they're convening, it's just assumed that this was LAPD. He's like, how did we get the LAPD on us? He is already like 4 steps ahead in assuming that they know everything because they didn't arrest us at that point. Insane. So my other point is Al Pacino. Let's bring it in.
Bring it in.
Full point.
Huddle up.
Full point for Al. He's a god in this movie. Al Pacino is a god. He has all his scenes have become a meme. Like when he goes to the informant, the "Give me all you got" scene. I even wrote in like one of my earlier Heat reviews that like he is just psychotic. Like the energy he brings to some of these scenes is off the charts. When he has the other meeting with the informant where they learn the Slick name, where he like where he mentions Slick. So the one guy's like trying to say like, what are you going to give me? And Al's like, ain't your cuz, you rap motherfucker. Just Al like saying he's trying to be like cool, but also like, you know, I should be fearing you.
Yeah.
And then there's also another line delivery. He's like about how I could be killed for doing this. He's like, you could be killed walking your doggy.
Kill walking your doggy.
And like, if I was Michael Mann, I'd be cracking up behind that camera. Like, I still can't believe that scene is in the movie. It's just such a weird delivery. But overall, this might be my favorite Al Pacino performance.
Oh, really?
Like, I think the memes almost do it a disservice. I just think he's so incredible in this movie. And later, when he is with Justine, I think is his soon-to-be ex-wife, at the hospital after Natalie Portman tries to kill herself, and they're almost like reconciling, and he's so quiet. He's just listening to her. She's like, "Do you think we could ever make it?" And he said, "Just like, no, I don't think we could make it." But he is like so calm in that moment, and in my headphones, like his lip smacking audio is off the charts. Like he's just opening his mouth, closing it. But this is probably my favorite Al, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't historically been a Al Pacino fan for the most part, but I also haven't seen a ton of his movies. So seeing this, I was really impressed with his performance in this. It is just like the nuance of the role, and there are so many great scenes, like that scene at the club where he goes to talk to that guy, and the guy and you're just thinking like, oh, this poor guy is about to get destroyed by Vincent Hanna. That scene is so good. But I also love the scene, and I feel like a scene that just like encapsulates like the psyche of this character so well is when he comes back home and his wife is there with another guy.
Oh,
and he just like strolls into the house, and he has like zero reaction to this. And he just, he's just like, Ralph, you can come into my house, you can sleep with my wife, you can eat my food, yada, yada. And then he just freaks out about the TV. There's like the mental profile of like what's going on in this guy's life is just, there's like, you could write like a book about this character just with the way that Pacino portrays him. And he really is like the perfect casting for this. Cause I mean, maybe like Jack Nicholson could do something crazy with this character, but it's hard to imagine someone else delivering like this kind of energy in the same way in this role.
I think I completely agree with you. I don't know of another Pacino role. I mean, besides Godfather, but that's just a different, it's not the same. There's something about him in this movie where it is like the entire gamut. His whole range of what he can do as an actor is in this. He's funny. He's act like him running with the guns, and he can do it all in this film. I mean, this is we've said it. It's his peak moment. I mean, I don't know of another Pacino movie where I enjoy him this much. I really do.
One of my notes I wrote down is that Al Pacino has a defining walk. Like if you made a silhouette of Al Pacino
he's 4
walking,
feet tall. The size
I feel like I could pick out the silhouette of
jacket.
Al Pacino walking for most of his movies. He just has that. It's like a strut. I don't know what it's a confident walk. Proto number 2.
So there's a quote and a phrase that at like the center of this movie that De Niro says, I think like 3 times. He says,
Don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner.
And I love how that line comes up and it plays out through the movie for his character, and then also in another way for the Val Kilmer character, and his wife, where Val has this situation where, you know, the heist goes bad, the heat is on them, they got to get out of town, they have a way out, but Val is like, you know, I'm going to go back for my wife, and the LAPD is already on top of it. They're staked out with her, and he comes to the window. He's cut his hair. He looks different, and he sees her, and they have that moment where she just tells him, like, "No,
just the hand motion." Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like, I just love how like that Val's character has been hearing this from De Niro probably the whole time they've worked together, and he goes against it. And like in that moment to see that, like, no, you can't come back for me. You have to leave. And just like that gut wrenching thought of having to leave your wife and your son and just disappear, or else you're going to end up in prison. And then De Niro having that same thing. Now, what's interesting about De Niro's scene, and maybe you guys, I'd like to hear what your opinion is. When I first watched it, I thought when he sees Pacino coming towards him and Edie's in the car and he decides to walk away, I thought like he was there following the mantra of like, you know, when the heat's coming, you have to drop everything. And like at that point, he's like kind of like throwing off Edie, like I'm giving up on her. That's what I thought at first. And I thought like, oh, he's kind of like, that's kind of seems weird that he like was trying to drag her with him and then like leaving her. But then after the movie, after I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, well, maybe he's actually doing the opposite, where he's not dragging Edie into it with him. He's like saving her. Like maybe he knows this is the end for him. And rather than screwing up her life by making her, you know, an accomplice, he's separating himself. What did you guys think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was him getting back on track. So at that moment, he had already not broken his rules, but he went off schedule. Like he's a very meticulously scheduled, planned person. Him abandoning going to the airport and getting out of there with Edie to go kill what's his name in the hotel room? Waingro. Him making that choice is going off books. And that's like it just was not heard of for him to do that. So I think when he came out and realized Vincent's right there, I have to go get back on my rules. I have to be able to drop everything and bail. And he had to do it in that moment and to you know, finish out the film.
Should have just gone to the airport.
Should have just gone to the airport.
Should have just freaking gone to the airport.
Yeah, but like, so why didn't he though? That does, it seems so weird.
He had
it was
to get
like
vengeance.
Yeah, a sense of justice that like he had to kill this guy.
Had to kill him.
He's had his way for who knows how many years. Where probably in his mind, like, I could probably just get away with this. I'm just going to go kill him. And he almost did get away with it.
So close.
Oh, God. Also that scene, Al grabbing that shotgun, Al Pacino running. Like, I'm sweating on the couch watching that. Sweating.
Maybe that's the Jurassic World homage where Chris Pratt takes the rifle from that one woman.
I had almost forgotten about that dumbass scene in Jurassic World, and now it's back in my head. Oh, cripes. That was Proto's number 2. All right, so Danny's number 3.
Number 3, the finale. The running through LAX, the chase, Pacino chasing De Niro. What gets me about the finale every time is them holding hands as De Niro dies. I get the chills both time I watch that, like full body chills, because it's just like the coffee shop scene. They know that they are pretty much the same person, and one has killed the other, but when he holds his hands as he dies. Like, this was like, it's perfect. It's so perfect, and I love it. And it's such a fantastic way to end this movie. It's such an incredible ending, and I don't know what else to say about it. I just love it so much. The music swelling Moby. Is it Moby's song? It's a Moby track, I believe, that he plays at the end. Because I think the finale they ended up just using it in the credits instead of the final shot. But it's like a Moby song that he plays, which is so wild that Michael Mann was like friends with Moby.
So is the like slow up, like the synth vibe, like slowly raising part of that Moby song? New Dawn Fades. Does anyone know if that's
I believe so, yeah.
part of it? Oh, I thought that was Goldstein, whoever was the composer. Disclaimer, Moby allegedly a dirtbag in real life. Let's just say that right now.
Is he?
This is any negative iTunes reviews.
I don't know much about him. I know he has a lot of tattoos now. But that whole vibe of that finale, the airplanes landing, the lighting of the runways lighting up behind De Niro and Pacino to give him the final shot of him, the timing of all that. It's such an incredible scene. I think, I didn't fact check this, but I read it real quick, that was the first time anyone's been allowed to film on LAX. The property, it's like the runways itself. I didn't really fact. Someone will leave a review.
Someone will fact check that. Pardo, what'd you think of the ending?
Yeah, the lighting from the airplanes taking off and landing, and the sound of them was unnerving as they as they're stumbling around. And there was so much tension, and I liked how it didn't turn into like a gunfight, really. It was like this moment of them like kind of really like spinning in the dark, disoriented, confused, lost. And it's like the two of them there. I mean, maybe that has something to say about like the story at large. I'd have to like think about that more, but yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic ending. And the scene of them together. I mean, any scene with like De Niro and Pacino together. I mean, these characters, what else can you say? What else can you say?
I just wanted to bring up the coffee scene. I mean, for many years, it was like an urban legend that they never were in the same room together when they filmed that. Like that became kind of like a talking point for film bros for many years. Let's see. What do I want my final point to be? Getting into honorable mentions territory, but I mean, the cast is wild. The cast in this movie, Tom Sizemore, unreal casting. How about when Van Zant makes a request to one of his team, have Harry bring me the spreadsheets on the Cayman Islands? What are you even bringing out? Is it like paper spreadsheets? Like, this is so far gone for me in my head. Like, what are we doing? How do you even edit this paper? I'm just like mind blown of like whatever document you have to review at this point in time on spreadsheets.
Yeah, I have like this mental block when I see people in an office without a computer. I'm like, what are you doing?
They have like an abacus and they're bringing that out. You're like, here's the Cayman Island abacus. Oh my God. So a lot of the stuff that I have, I'll save for the honorable mentions. Proto, number 3.
We've covered a lot of it. My favorite scene, and Danny mentioned it earlier, is with Pacino when he does get back to his house. I can't even remember what scene came before. It might have. I'm not sure what it was, but he comes back to his house and no one's there, and he kind of just like walks around the house for a minute.
Kitchen.
Like what is this guy gonna do in his free time? Like he clearly has nothing that he can do outside of his work. Like his work has consumed him. He is his work. There's nothing else left. And the fact that he goes out and he gets in a helicopter to find where De Niro is. And then, he's like, he gets out, jumps in the car, chases him down, and he's like communicating with the helicopter. He's like, where is he? 300 yards in front of you, middle lane. And he just like finds him.
Yeah.
It is insane, this character. I don't even know, like, would a detective even have that much power to do something like that? They're following this guy's car like 24/7 or whatever.
Yeah.
And
remember even like Voight tells De Niro, like, this guy is, like king shit. Like you should probably end all your plans and leave. Like he gets his man, like he's the top. Also amazing scene is when they have that meeting in the docks area, and then the LAPD go to where they were.
Yeah.
And Pacino realizes this was a setup. They just wanted to see who we are. Oh my God.
Got him.
But yeah, the scene you were talking about right before he gets in the helicopter, part, like he goes into the kitchen at one point and he like, he sees the dirty dishes. He like looks at the kitchen, the state of his life. And that's when he makes a decision like, okay, I'm going to go find De Niro and talk to him. Oh my God. Danny, final thoughts, rating.
Let me see. We didn't talk too much about Val. Val's incredible in this. He was in the, prime shape to be Batman that summer as well.
Gorge.
Natalie's great. Her storyline I always find a bit interesting, and almost not needed, except for showing a little softer side of Vincent. Let me check my notes. What else is? This was loosely based on a true story. McNally is a real person. I believe there was an ex-detective that worked with Mann on Thief, and these were stories that he told Michael Mann when he wrote this movie. And so each person from the crew on De Niro's crew is based loosely off of an actual robber and thief that this detective have worked. And the McNally character was hunted down by the detective that worked with Michael Mann. He wasn't killed in this fashion. He was killed like robbing a grocery store or something. But they did have the coffee scene. It's a real scene where the detective sat down McNally in a coffee shop and they talked together.
Did you see in your research that Mann had done a TV movie called L.A. Takedown?
L.A. Takedown.
That is like almost like the identical movie in 1989. And
I believe the actor that plays Ralph was in it. He had a bigger role in it. 5 stars for this film. This could easily slip into my top 4. I really do enjoy this movie. It's fun to watch. I like the length of it. I like how moments take their time. I like when the action is full throttle in the bank heist scene. This is a fantastic movie. I love it.
How about poor Donald, the convict on probation, getting that crap job, and that scene with his girlfriend. He's like just so downtrodden from working that job, getting treated like crap, and he's like, he has this interplay with his girlfriend. She's like, "What are you doing hanging out with me? Like I'm nothing." And she talks about how she's so proud of him, and then he takes the job with De Niro, murdered like during the job. Oh my God. I felt so terrible.
I love little vignettes like that in movies like this, where he gets his moment. He's probably only has like 5 minutes of screen time, but there's enough to like build a whole character there, and about his past, and he has this past with De Niro as well, and he's trying to climb out of like the convict life and like do something different, and then like on a whim he runs into De Niro and he's back in it and gets murdered.
I mean, even if he wasn't there, the job's off. Like, if he didn't recognize him, insane. Let me run through my honorable mentions, see if I haven't mentioned everything. So as we recorded this, the official 4K disc is not out yet. It comes out the first week of August. Of course, we'll be grabbing that and watching. But the 4K digital is available. I thought it looked pretty great. The view from De Niro's apartments are nuts. Oh my God. The Van Zant handoff at the drive-in movie theater. His boys got effed up. How great was that when they anticipated something going haywire and they were all there waiting? Are you an effing owl? When the guy's like, who? The mouth noises from Al. Yeah. So I had this at 4.5 stars at my last viewing. I think if I have one critique, the art is up. I haven't even seen the art.
I didn't share it with you guys.
Oh my, what?
I forgot to send it to you guys.
Did not even see it. Holy smokes. Okay. I had this at 4.5 stars. If I have one critique of the movie, it's that the final third is long. It does feel longer than any of the other moments in the movie. Like the shootout scene, I mean, it's like, it's might as well be the first 10 minutes compared to how long this movie is. It's so early on. Like, I almost forget that, like, then the shootout scene, there's still a ton that happens after this.
Yeah.
One other honorable mention is I love De Niro's reaction to her asking him questions at that diner. He like blows her off. He's like, what are you asking me questions for? He's like, I don't want to talk to you. And then they eventually form a relationship. But the coffee shop scene and everything else with Al, it's time for justice for Al in Heat.
Thank you.
I will campaign
Finally.
5 stars for Heat.
Gosh.
Al deserves more than people's memories of this movie. He's insane in this film. 5-star performance.
There it is.
Pardon.
Yeah. Honorable mentions. You mentioned it, Danny, the Natalie Portman character of the daughter. That it is this kind of a strange role, and like it's kind of hard to quantify. I guess the only thing I could make sense of that is just like how everything in Al Pacino's life just decays and falls apart eventually. And maybe that would be like a wake up call for him in some way, that like he should be more like De Niro. Like he cannot have other people in his life if this is the way he lives, because because it was like a cascading effect, because, there is his wife is on drugs, sleeping with other people because of their relationship, ignoring her daughter. And then here is Natalie Portman, she's tries to commit suicide. And it kind of can go back to Pacino's lifestyle and like who he is. Like, so I think that's kind of like an interesting mirroring of Pacino and De Niro and like their choices. And like, he really should not have people in his life because of who he is and how he lives. And then also I was like confused by Edie's reaction to Neil. I thought that was, it was really fascinating because she clearly has fallen for this guy. Right. But then when he gives it to her of like, this is who I am. Or I guess she finds out from the news or something that like he is the guy who robbed the bank. And that look on her face of just like staring into the void and almost like she's like in a psychosis of like, this guy is a criminal who kills people and steals gas. And like, I thought that was a real great and even the fact that she decided to go along with him at the end, I was surprised by. So there's a lot of like interesting choices in this movie that just like a lot of nuance and things to unpack that would make it worth, watching again. How about Danny Trejo looking like Meatloaf dying on the floor? He
His
got
death is
effed up.
rough.
My God.
He looked terrible.
What else? Was there anything else? De Niro in those shades when he made that call to Van Sant.
Jeez.
Looked amazing.
What about that, the call in the restaurant?
Oh,
Where he's like, that's the line like, I'm talking to a dead man.
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking like 4 stars, but like the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. And I think it is really special. So I have it at 5 stars as well.
Oh my
This is a classic.
joining the ranks of the 15 bangers. My God. How many movies are in there? It's not a lot, right? Out of 100,
Count them on one
nearly
hand.
30 episodes, 30 bonus eps.
Mm-hmm.
Very rare. Holy
the rare
cow.
15.
God, I'm so happy that Perdo had a great experience watching this. First time viewing.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it.
And the thing about the length of it, I thought this movie moved quick. Like I remember thinking like 10 minutes went by and it was like I was 45 minutes in. And I was like, whoa, okay.
We also watched the director's cut, which I
the
don't know.
definitive edition.
The
I don't know the
definitive
differences.
edition. We're only talking like an extra 10 minutes, I think.
Oh, I wonder what was in it. Any Heat super fans know the differences?
I don't know the difference.
Forgot to look that up. Yeah, so the version that we watched, there was like a $4.99 version on Vudu was on sale. It was the definitive director's cut or definitive director's edition. I have no idea what that means, but gorge.
Mm-hmm.
What a movie. God, I love the soundtrack to this movie. It's just so like low-key synth, orchestral almost. I just love the overall vibe to start. Whew. All right, we have some feedback to get to. Got to get to some feedback here. You can shoot us a letter, 70mmpod.com, using the links in there. I'm trying to see if anyone mentioned the differences. A lot of talk about Thief tonight in chat. A lot of buzz about Thief. I've wanted to do Thief since like episode 10. But I want to have Chuck on for Thief. Chuck Forsman of the Bat and Spider podcast. He loves Thief. I think that's been in his top 4 at some point in the past.
Yeah.
So
that's why I haven't watched it. I'm waiting.
That's why I have the disc on my desk from the Blu-ray from the Criterion.
4 Christmases ago.
It's easy for us to say, yeah, let's do Thief with Chuck, but it's hard to, we're doing Adam August, the animated summer. We have to see how it fits, Yeah. Could be next year.
Chuck's a busy man.
Chuck's busy. Doing 3 episodes a week for Bat and Spider.
Hey.
Busy cartoonist. Check out Bat and Spider. All right. Who do we want to hear from first? Let's see.
Who do you like first?
Curtis sent an email last week about Hard Boiled. It's a little bit long, so I might take breaks, drink some water.
There's a fly on your cup.
Look at that.
I know.
There's a fly on my mason jar. That's what caught me last time. This guy was in my mouth earlier.
Excuse me?
Sorry. Moving on. Curtis, hey 70mm friends. I love the show and look forward every Monday morning to my old pal Slim kicking off what is always a great chat for film lovers. I was confined to quarters this week by my family because I was tested positive for COVID. Fortunately, this super contagious variant ended up infecting the whole household. Fortunately, we're all vaxxed up, so we were all miserable, but the antibodies kicked in and kept us from getting critically ill or dead. I used my quarantine time to burn through a bunch of movies on my watch list and add a dozen movies to my Letterboxd diary. This week ranged from high-quality Peaks, Creed, and The Card Counter to Stinking Depths, Barfly, and Sweeney Todd. I just want to interject for a moment. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the Scream 3 segment in, but I watched Scream 3 this week, and Creed is featured heavily on that soundtrack.
Really?
Heavily.
With arms wide open.
I wanted to start listening to Creed, but I didn't want anyone to like DM me because my Spotify is like linked to Discord. Everyone calm down.
Yeah.
Creed, please. Love Creed.
We can listen to Creed.
Isn't there like incognito listening mode? Maybe I should do that.
Just unlink it and listen to some Creed.
I approach your pick for the week with high hopes. I am more of an 80s fanboy, but 90s action month started strong, if not a little mindlessly, with Point Break. Also, we didn't compare Point Break at all to Heat, but, they're like identical movies.
Pretty close.
Sadly, I found Hard Boiled a little tough to watch. I'm not sure if this was back when it was first released in America. I know I saw one of Woo's Hong Kong films back in the day, but I feel like I remember more of the birds flapping around in a church under construction that became one of the hallmarks of American films. That might be Face Off. I found the body count in Hard Boiled more than a little excessive. I'm a nurse who works in a hospital, so in our current climate of mass shootings, this was a tough watch. It's one thing for a bunch of bad gang baddies to get shot, but watching all those patients get shot was simultaneously shocking and numbing. And where the F were all the bad guys coming from? There were so many. I was thinking that this is just too big to be a cash business. The syndicate must have like an HR department that makes these guys through retirement seminars and sexual harassment trainings. Maybe I got too caught up in medical logistics in movies. Like when I saw The Hobbit during the Battle of the Five Armies, all I could think about was a big job it was going to be properly processing all of the dead bodies. Smaug.
The logistics.
Can you imagine if we did the Hobbit trilogy? I would want to jump out the
Stop
window.
talking about it right now.
The desolation of Smaug.
With arms wide open.
Anyway, I love the show and look forward to your discussion. Even though your picks this week was a rough watch for me, thanks for the enjoyable show, Curtis. Thank you, Curtis.
Thanks, Curtis.
Paul in chat says I would unsub if we did a Hobbit trilogy.
Okay, now we got to do it.
Those movies look like dump. 100%.
No, I don't know about that.
Right?
I don't know about that.
What was it? 24 frames per second? Everything looked like a soap opera?
It looked wild on the big screen.
I like that.
What are your thoughts on the Hobbit trilogy in brief?
I mean, it's been so long. I've seen them all once. I remember really disliking the third one, kind of like just not. I think I just got up and like stopped watching it, but like let it roll.
Just let it keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, I remember having a good time with the first one. I think the first one's good or okay.
They made 5 more Hobbit movies after that.
It feels that way.
Thomas sends an email. His first one, I believe. Hi, 70 milliboys. I wanted to send in my first ever VM for Heat, but did not have time, so I'm hoping this arrives in time for the episode. I've long thought that if you guys reopened the Patreon tier for folks to pick a movie for an episode, I would ask you guys to cover Heat 1995. So I'm personally thrilled that you guys are covering this perfect piece of cinema on the show and also saying a small prayer to the book about metals that Prote doesn't say anything mean about it. The innovation is off the charts as no podcast has ever covered Heat 1995 before. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas.
It's my favorite movie and number 1 on my LB top 4 for many reasons, but my top reason is probably that even as a person with an aversion to long run times, this thing burns through nearly 3 hours with no hiccups at all. When it ends, I want to start it over. The gunfight outside the bank sounds like my house is exploding. The character arcs are great, and it's got 3 awesome lead performances. If I had to pick a nit, I wish the scene with De Niro and Pacino in the diner featured fewer over-the-shoulder shots, but it's still a blast of a scene. Anyway, I want to express my gratitude for the community that you have all built. I have been busy on a work project for the last few months, so I've been less active at Discord and won't be able to attend the meetup, but it's a community that I love and hope to be at the next meetup. I don't have many local friends who are into movies, so it's special to have a place like this to feel accepted and talk about a random movie on the LB Top 250 that no one I know IRL has watched. Love you guys, and that comes from Thomas.
Oh, gosh.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Thomas. Remember that Patreon tier?
Gosh,
where
we
people
just
could pick
saved
their own
Thomas a
movie?
lot of money. We'll send him an invoice.
Thank you for the email, Thomas. Lex. Last email of the week. Lex. I haven't heard from Lex in a while. You know, Lex's shtick is usually there's like a quote from the movie in his Letterboxd reviews, but I saw him post a Letterboxd review without a quote like this week.
Excuse me.
What?
So Lex, I don't know if things changed, but
What's going on,
just
Lex?
reaching out. Lex, dear 70mm boys, instead of writing a long paragraph about how awesome this movie is, I'm going to express my love for Heat with a series of deep questions.
Oh.
Has any man been as stunning as Val Kilmer? Is there any actor better at phone call scenes than Robert De Niro? Did Al Pacino produce the most quotable character of his career? Has Moby done anything worthwhile outside of this movie's soundtrack? Is this the greatest achievement of cinematic history? Is Michael Mann God? I eagerly await your answers. Love, Lex. Thanks for the likes on my review. Slim and Proto Shatterball. Thank you, Lex.
Thank you, Lex. Those sounded like rhetorical questions to me.
I know.
My main memory of Moby growing up is that he liked The Simpsons. So he would be like nerdy musician who likes The Simpsons thing for a while. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy who likes The Simpsons. I think he was in an episode too.
I think Moby, the only other Moby I know really is from Gone in 60 Seconds. There's the other movie he had a track in.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's bringing back the memories.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do a Gone in 60 Seconds episode.
I know.
Oh, I love that movie.
I know.
Yes. I had, sorry, Proto. I had that movie downloaded. I had like I don't know what audio, it might have been an .avi file when I was in college it wasn't a MacBook, it was an iBook. It was like the first modern looking iBook, and I had that on that laptop, and I would watch that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I had it on my color iPod.
You bring Sally up, you bring Sally down.
Oh,
Yeah, I love that movie.
what a movie.
I think my
formative.
the first time I knew of Moby was probably Eminem.
Oh, yeah.
You too
Their
old, let
feud?
go. Nobody listens to techno, so let's go. And then the MTV Music Awards, was it?
Right.
Yeah, where he was it the stupid dog is trying to get the.
Now Eminem's doing music for Minions movies, whatever the hell he's doing.
Tables turned.
It's funny how life works sometimes.
Don't steal my bit. remember the I think this might have been a pre-show. Remember we Googled Eminem and we're talking about his beard? I don't know if
kept
that's
saying
a real
it was a
beard.
fake color.
I think it's a fake beard. Maybe surgically added to his face. Like he just wants to wear a beard constantly and not have to cut it. I don't know. Look it up. Please. All right, that's it. That's it for Heat. There it is. I mean, he looks like Madame Tussauds Fidel Castro.
He looks like he's from Tintin.
He looks like the independent film, Jesus film that they show overseas.
Is that Jim Caviezel as Jesus?
Someone crucify that man.
All right, so next week we are officially kicking off the animated summer. It's happening. The first episode we're going to do is The Adventures of Tintin, and that is streaming in a few places. Let me just confirm. It's probably HBO Max, but that is streaming on HBO Max. So if you want to watch along with us, 3.5 average on Letterboxd right now. It's lower than I thought it might be. But Steven Spielberg returns to the show once again.
Do you know the average of Akira?
I can find that out real quick. Akira, just by the way, who was winning until the final minute when there was some vote manipulation by the person I named earlier. 4.2 average on Letterboxd. But next week, it's The Adventures of Tintin, the animated summer. Pardo, any final thoughts?
I'm so happy with the results of 90s Action Month. I mean, can I just say, I think we all nailed it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
We nailed it.
Great
We're
job,
on
guys.
fire right now.
Yeah.
And let's just keep it going.
Okay.
Maybe no more mistakes for the rest of the year. If we could just all agree to that.
About that. Let's
try to finish strong from here on out.
Jim Cameron's Avatar 2 is coming out.
We got a big year ahead.
Prayer hands.
Big year ahead. We'll see everybody next week. $70mm is a tape deck production featuring original artwork provided by Danny Haas. Spiritual guidance and V'ger, the robot who loves movies, provided by Pertalexis. Producer at large Dale_A. Transcripts provided by Sophie Shin and music composed by Cinematric. Prints and other merch are available on 70mmpod.com. This episode was mixed, edited, and produced by me, Slim. Support our Patreon for access to our VHS Village Discord to talk movies with new friends, access to our exclusive episodes in the 70mm vault, discounts on merch, uncut episodes, and a physical membership card mailed to you. To check out other Tape Deck podcasts, find the link in the episode notes. And If you'd like to support our friends at Letterboxd and upgrade to pro or patron status, you can do so with a 20% off discount using the links on 70mmpod.com. Goodbye.
This is a Tape Deck podcast.